Today I'm going to show you how to make some simple meatballs. Here are the list of ingredients you'll need to be able to make this recipe. You will need 2 pounds of hamburger, some house seasoning, parsley, cayenne pepper, onion powder, and some oregano, 1 cup of mozzarella cheese and a cup of Parmesan cheese, 2 jars of spaghetti sauce, 1 tablespoon of butter, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and a teaspoon of baking soda. Lastly, but not least, an egg. Today we're going to make some meatballs. My family requested some meatball subs, so I thought I would come to you guys today and show you how to make them. You can use them as a meatball sub, you can make them as a meatball casserole, and you can also use them for your spaghetti. So, to start it out, 2 pounds of hamburger, put it in a bowl. Now these are really quick and easy. I think you're really gonna like them. My suggestion though is that you make them ahead of time enough that you can put them in your spaghetti sauce so they cook and get nice and tender. Okay, for most of the day, I put mine right in the crock pot. So 2 pounds of hamburger, 1 cracked egg, crack it right in there. Okay, I'm gonna be using my hands during this preparation. You can wear your gloves if you want. So in this, I have a teaspoon of my house seasoning, which is 1/4 cup pepper, 1/4 cup garlic powder, and a cup of salt. I put it all together and use it on everything I use. I have a teaspoon of parsley, teaspoon of oregano. The recipe called for 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. Well, I don't have it, and I'm not going to the store to get it. So we're gonna do this. A teaspoon of onion powder and a 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I like it. It's not hot at all, but it does give it a good flavor, okay? So that's all in here, and we're just gonna sprinkle that all in there. Also, the next couple things we're gonna add is 1 cup of, I don't know if you can see it or not, 1 cup of mozzarella, okay, shredded mozzarella, and a cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. You can use the Parmesan cheese in the can if you want, it's fine, so whatever you got. And we're just gonna mix this all together. I'm gonna use my hands, you can use a spoon, use a fork, whatever you want. And I think we've talked about this before when you did my meatloaf, that usually when you are using hamburger, you don't wanna handle it too much because it makes it really tough. But for meatballs, you don't want your meatballs all falling apart. So it's okay to really get in there and mix all of these ingredients up, okay? So we really want this all mixed up together. Squish it all together. Okay, real simple recipe here. Okay, gonna go wash my hands, then we'll get it in the pan. Hands are all washed. We're gonna use a scoop, ice cream scoop, whatever. Just gonna take this like this. Pretty good size because they are gonna shrink down a little bit. So, good size like this. Fill up your pan. Okay, I have them all rolled up. This made me 18 meatballs for the size I was making them. If you don't use them all, that's okay. They're gonna be great leftover as well, like in a sandwich, cut up, cold, however you wanna do this. So I'm gonna throw these in the oven at 400 for, I'm gonna say 25 minutes, and we'll see how long it takes. So now that we're waiting for our meatballs to cook, we're gonna start with the sauce that we're gonna make the meatballs with. While I was mixing up my meatballs, I turned my crock pot on so it's really nice and warm. So I'm gonna pour in, for my family of 4, with the subs we're gonna have, 2 jars of spaghetti sauce. This one is just simple, no sugar added, olive oil. Use your homemade if you want. Use any type of spaghetti sauce you want. But if you're gonna use a jar sauce, I'm gonna show you, just like I did with my chop suey recipe, what I do to make it a little less tingy, I guess is the word, because sometimes canned tomatoes have a tingy taste to them. So for me, I use 1 tablespoon of butter, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and for whatever reason, I don't really know the purpose of it, but Steve's Graham always put baking soda in her tomato soup, her homemade tomato soup. So I now add that to my spaghetti sauce. Maybe add something to it, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But that's what I do now. So I'm just gonna mix this all in and let's get this nice and warm So when your meatballs are ready, the sauce will already be warm and you can just throw them in there and let those sit and simmer all day. So when you add the baking soda, it changes the tomatoes. I don't know if it takes the acid out. I know it does change the flavor a little bit. I don't know if you can see it. I mean, if you try it, you'll see it. But it kind of like bubbles. It's really kind of neat. Okay, so we're gonna keep this on high while we're waiting for our meatballs to cook, and we'll come back and I'll show you the meatballs when they're done. So I just took the meatballs out of the oven. My husband wanted hot sausages instead of meatballs, so I threw them on the pan so it looks a little greasy. That's not from my hamburger, that's from the hot sausage. So what I'm gonna do is just add that to my sauce. And believe me, these hot sausages are gonna flavor the sauce so much. Even if you don't want hot sausage, it's gonna flavor it. So you're just gonna add this all to the sauce. These cooked at 400 for 25 minutes. And then I put them under the broiler for about 5 minutes only because I like brown food. Brown food is better food, so I just wanted it a little brown. You don't have to do that. It's just me. We're just gonna let these sit and simmer the rest of the day. At least 4 to 6 hours. I have mine on high. I cook everything on high for whatever reason. So we're just gonna mix them all up. Ourselves. Get them all covered up. Don't break them up. Just get them all in. Just put the cover on, let them simmer the rest of the day. So the meatballs have been cooking all day and they've been simmering in our sauce, so it's time to make our meatball subs. I'm gonna cut this down the middle, basically on the side. We're gonna open it up a little bit. Take just a little bit of the bread out. You don't want all this bread. Take a little bit out. Depending on your size of meatballs, let's say probably 3 or 4 for each sub. So let's try it. So it looks like 3 is gonna be it. I'm gonna put this in a tin foil pan. I'm gonna add a little bit of cheese. I'm gonna add some sauce on top of that. Then I'm gonna put it under the broiler just for maybe 5 minutes. We'll see what that looks like. Okay, our meatball sub just came out of the oven. Kind of fell over a little bit, but we just flipped it over, fixed it back up. So we're just gonna take it out. Put it on your plate. A little bit more sauce to the top. There you have it. Meatballs up.